Have you ever stepped into a room and felt something you couldn't explain? A stillness in the air, a warmth that didn't come from the sun, a presence that made you feel safe, seen, and somehow awakened. That wasn't just a feeling. It was a message. Because when a chosen one builds a home, they're not just putting together furniture. They're constructing a spiritual echo of who they truly are. What if your home was never random? What if the way you arrange your space, the objects you're drawn to, the silence that surrounds you when you close the door at night, are all signs of something sacred? The house of a chosen one is a reflection of divine design. It reveals your alignment with higher realms, your soul's mission on earth, and the secrets you've hidden, even from yourself. And today, right now, we're going to uncover what your home is really trying to tell you. This is not decoration. This is revelation. So stay with me until the very end. Because if you're watching this, your house might not just be where you live. It might be the proof that you're not like the others. Before we go deeper, if you already feel the pull of this message, if something inside you is waking up, hit the like button. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because this channel speaks to your soul, not just your mind. And comment 99 below. Why 99? Because in the spiritual realm, 99 represents divine purpose that's almost fulfilled. A sacred number reminding you you're close to completion, but not done yet. There's more for you to discover. Starting now, there is a silence that speaks louder than words, a stillness that doesn't come from the absence of noise, but from the presence of something else. When you walk into the house of a chosen one, you don't feel like you're entering just another room. You feel like you've crossed a threshold, like you've stepped into a space that's been touched by something holy, yet invisible. This is not about luxury, or perfection, or a designer layout. In fact, many chosen ones live in places the world would overlook, modest, simple, sometimes even weathered by time. But the energy, it hits you the moment you walk through the door. There's a softness in the air, a clarity, as if the walls themselves have witnessed prayers whispered in the dark. As if the light coming through the window carries wisdom you can't name. This peace is not random, it's sacred, because chosen ones, whether they realize it or not, become spiritual conduits. Their very presence shifts atmospheres, and their homes? They absorb it. Every object holds frequency, every corner holds memory. And when someone is walking in divine alignment, their space becomes a reflection of that alignment. But here's what most people miss. This peace isn't the result of an easy life. It's the result of spiritual war. Chosen ones have cried in these rooms. They've battled darkness here, faced betrayal, silence, isolation. They've been broken in the very spaces that now feel peaceful. The calm you feel. It's not because nothing happened here. It's because everything happened here. And healing. 1. This is why their home radiates stillness. Because it's been purified through fire. Look closely and you'll sense it. The quiet is earned. There's often a sacred rhythm to the way things are placed. A candle that's not just decor. A plant that feels alive. A worn book on a nightstand open to a page that holds someone's destiny. Even the air feels intentional. Why? Because energy lingers. And when someone is chosen, they don't just live in a house. They anchor light into it. Many chosen ones unconsciously place objects in a way that shields the space, protects it, invites the divine. They know when to open a window not just for fresh air, but for spiritual renewal. They speak blessings out loud without even thinking twice. They clean not just for hygiene, but to break spiritual stagnation. This is not superstition. It's awareness. They understand that the home is not just a background to their life story. It is a mirror of their inner evolution. And as they grow, the energy shifts. Even visitors feel it. People often walk in and suddenly become quieter. They speak softer. Their breathing slows. Some even cry, without knowing why. It's not the color of the walls. It's the vibration. Their home is not a place. It's a presence. But here's the twist. This peace is not meant to be hoarded. It's meant to be shared. And that's why many chosen ones feel conflicted. They crave solitude, yet people are drawn to them. They want privacy, yet their home becomes a sanctuary for others. They get drained, yet continue to give, because their peace isn't just theirs. It's part of their assignment, and it leaves a mark on everyone who enters. So now, ask yourself, what do people feel when they enter your space? Do they feel tension or stillness? Do they rush or breathe? Do they talk or listen? Because your atmosphere is telling a story. Even when you're silent, but don't be too quick to judge it. Sometimes a space feels restless because the soul is in transition. Sometimes the storm is necessary before the calm arrives. So if your home doesn't feel like peace yet, don't panic. That might just mean your peace is still being built through healing, through awakening, through fire. And when it comes, you'll feel it in the walls, in the air, in the silence that no longer feels empty, but holy. Because the house of a chosen one does more than shelter the body. It cradles the spirit. And once you experience that kind of home, you'll never see four walls the same way again. But this is just the beginning. Because if peace is only the first sign, you have no idea what else your home might be hiding. Something deeper, something ancient, something that might reveal your true identity. Keep watching. What you discover next might shake everything you thought you knew. Look closer. No, really look. Because in the home of a chosen one, what seems ordinary is never what it appears to be. That worn notebook on the nightstand, it holds revelations received in silence. That candle on the shelf, it's not for mood. Lighting. It's been lit during battles no one ever saw. That small space near the window, it's not just decor, it's sacred ground. A portal where heaven and earth have met. You see, the chosen don't just live. They build altars with their lives, and those altars begin to manifest around them, subtly but powerfully, until their home becomes a spiritual instrument, tuned to divine frequencies. This isn't superstition, it's intentionality. Most people decorate for aesthetics. Chosen ones decorate for alignment. They intuitively create sacred spaces, corners, tables, entire rooms, dedicated not to relaxation, but to revelation. There might be a Bible open to a page that pierced their soul, a bowl of crystals charged with energy they don't even need to explain, a meditation cushion that has absorbed tears from nights of soul-searching, incense that clears not just the air, but the atmosphere. These objects are not things. They're tools, and they're chosen with care. Because when you're called for a higher purpose, your space must match your assignment. Have you noticed how certain items in your house seem to call to you? That old necklace you can't throw away. That feather you picked up without knowing why. That painting that stirs something ancient in you every time you walk past it. These aren't coincidences. They're codes, clues from your soul, markers of your journey. Anchors that hold spiritual weight, because they were placed there through intuition, not instruction. And here's the truth most never realize. The more a chosen one awakens, the more their home becomes a living altar. You don't need stained glass or golden ornaments. The sacred can live in simplicity. It can be a small cup of water placed by the bed, symbolizing purity, cleansing, flow. It can be a handwritten prayer tucked behind a mirror, a vision board hidden in a drawer where dreams still whisper. These objects become part of the atmosphere. They hold energy. They speak. And those who step into a chosen one's space will often feel something shift. They won't be able to explain it, but they'll walk by that little table in the corner and pause. They'll stare at that crystal and feel heat rise in their hands. They'll sit in that chair and suddenly feel the urge to cry, breathe, or pray. Because energy is real, and sacred tools, when placed with purpose, don't just sit still, they activate. But here's the deeper truth. Chosen ones don't always know what they're building. They don't wake up and say, "Today, I'll create a spiritual sanctuary." It happens organically. They feel drawn to light a candle before speaking to God. They feel led to place a certain stone where sunlight hits at dawn. They rearrange their space during moments of spiritual discomfort, as if their soul is trying to breathe. And slowly, their home becomes more than a residence. It becomes a reflection of their inner world. A training ground for their spirit, a map of their healing. It's no wonder why chosen ones often feel uneasy in places that lack spiritual order. They sense when something is off. They recognize when a home has been filled with chaos, clutter, or spiritual decay. Because once your home becomes sacred, you can never again tolerate the spiritually stagnant. But here's what's even more fascinating. Sometimes, the sacred tools call them back. A chosen one can fall out of alignment, get distracted, lose their rhythm. But one glance at that journal, one touch of that candle, one moment in that sacred corner, and everything returns. That space remembers, even when they forget. Because sacred places don't just hold energy, they preserve identity. If you've ever felt drawn to create a corner just for you, a place to breathe, pray, think, don't ignore that impulse. It's not just a need for silence. It's your soul demanding sanctuary. And if you don't have a sacred space yet, listen closely. You don't need expensive items. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need intention. Even a small space, when set with purpose, can become a throne room for transformation. Start with what resonates. A symbol, a light, a phrase, a memory. Watch what happens when you begin treating your space as sacred. You'll find yourself more focused, more sensitive, more connected to the divine voice whispering through your days. And those sacred tools? They'll no longer be decorations. They'll become weapons, keys, mirrors. Because when a chosen one activates a sacred space, they activate everything around it. But we're only scratching the surface. If sacred tools are how the chosen one arms their soul, what happens when the rest of the house begins to transform with them? What happens when the entire environment starts echoing their inner frequency? That's when we step into a territory most people never see. A deeper dimension. One where even chaos has a message, and every inch of space becomes a reflection of divine intelligence. Don't blink, because in the next part, you're going to see how the unseen manifests in the details you've overlooked your entire life. There's something deeply unsettling, yet oddly beautiful, about the way a chosen one handles chaos. Not by avoiding it, not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by taming it, silently, skillfully, and with divine awareness. Step into their home during a storm in their life, and you might expect to see disorder, mess, clutter, confusion. But instead, you'll find something unexpected, a kind of sacred order woven delicately into the fabric of the chaos. No, it's not spotless perfection. It's not minimalism for the sake of trend. It's spiritual design. It's warrior awareness. Because the chosen understands something the world constantly forgets. Your physical environment is a mirror. And if your surroundings are filled with distractions, noise, and heaviness, your spirit begins to carry that weight. This is why chosen ones let go, often, not just of people or patterns, but of objects, things. That shirt they no longer feel aligned with, gone. That drawer full of things they might use one day, cleared. That decor piece that no longer holds meaning, removed without hesitation. Why? Because the chosen one isn't clinging to the past. They're preparing for the next download, the next revelation, the next assignment. And to receive what's new, they must release what's no longer required. Most people hoard things for comfort. The chosen surrender them for clarity. Because they know spiritual messages aren't heard in cluttered rooms. They're whispered in spaces where stillness has been honored. And sometimes, that stillness comes in the form of empty space. Have you ever noticed how a certain part of your home just feels heavy? Maybe it's a closet you avoid, a drawer you never open, a pile you keep meaning to organize. What if that's not laziness, but a spiritual block? What if the reason you can't move forward is because something in your environment is holding you hostage? This is why chosen ones move things around so often. They feel when energy has grown stagnant. They reorganize not just for cleanliness, but for alignment. And here's the truth most never admit. Sometimes the biggest spiritual breakthrough comes after a deep cleaning session, not because of the act itself, but because your environment is prophetic. It speaks of your inner world. And if your home is always screaming for attention, how can you ever hear the voice of God? So the chosen learn to live with less. But that less is intentional, purposeful, sacred. It's not about owning fewer things. It's about owning what aligns with their mission. That's why you'll see simplicity in their homes. Not emptiness, not coldness, but space. Space that breathes, space that listens, space that makes room for God. There may still be busy days, laundry, dishes, tasks, but beneath it all, there's a rhythm, a peace, a silent order that holds the chaos without letting it consume the soul. Because the chosen one doesn't need life to be perfect, they just need to be present. And to be fully present, they've learned to release anything that creates noise without meaning. They trust this principle deeply. When the external world is loud, I must create silence within. And where does that silence begin? At home. In the drawers that are now clean. In the shelf that holds only what inspires. In the room that welcomes spirit, not distractions. This is why so many chosen ones don't mind letting go of old clothes, of unused items, of gifts that came with weird energy, of things they once loved but have outgrown spiritually. Letting go doesn't scare them, it frees them. Because they've learned this truth the hard way. What you hold on to physically often reveals what you're still attached to emotionally. And when God begins to elevate a chosen one, the first instruction is often, clean your house. Not because he's concerned with appearances, but because the environment must match the elevation. You can't receive clarity in chaos. You can't unlock destiny in distraction. The order in the home creates a frequency that heaven responds to. That's why, even in the middle of crisis, a chosen one will make their bed, will sweep the floor, will open a window, will light a candle and breathe. Not to pretend everything's okay, but to call their soul back into order. Because the house isn't just where they live. It's where they recover. It's where they receive. It's where they war in the spirit when the world gets loud. And now, ask yourself this. What's taking up space in your home that's no longer serving your growth? What drawers, closets, corners are silently echoing spiritual clutter? What could shift in your life if you simply let go? What blessings are waiting for you on the other side of that release? Because when you begin to clear the physical space, you make way for downloads, healing, and upgrades you didn't even know you were blocking. And here's the twist you never saw coming. Sometimes spiritual warfare doesn't show up in your dreams. It shows up in your laundry, in your kitchen sink, in that broken chair you keep saying you'll fix, but don't. And when a chosen one finally confronts the chaos in their space, something shifts in the heavens. But what happens when that order begins to expand beyond the home? What if that clarity begins to spill into relationships, decisions, destiny? Because the house was just the beginning. What if every time you put something in its right place, you were also putting your life into alignment? In the next section, we'll go even deeper, because some chosen ones don't just live in order, they live in codes, hidden spiritual patterns. And once you begin to see them, you'll never see your home the same way again. Have you ever walked past something in your own home and paused, not because it was beautiful, but because it meant something? A phrase on the wall that hit you differently that day. A symbol on a necklace you haven't worn in years, but suddenly feels alive. A painting that seems to watch you back when you're alone with your thoughts. This isn't imagination, it's alignment, because what most people dismiss as decoration, a chosen one recognizes as communication, not from the world, but from the unseen. Their homes become filled, sometimes unknowingly, with signs, symbols, reminders, clues, like breadcrumbs from the divine, scattered throughout their rooms. They don't always understand why they were drawn to buy that sculpture, or place that quote exactly there, or why a certain object keeps following them from one season of life to the next. But deep down, their soul does. Because chosen ones live on a different frequency. And on that frequency, nothing is random. That feather on the doorstep, that number on the clock, that dream catcher or tree or lion image that keeps showing up. They are codes, messages from their higher self, echoes from realms beyond time, whispers from God. And here's the most surprising part. Most chosen ones don't realize how prophetic their homes have become until something major in their life shifts. And suddenly, all the symbols make sense. That mountain canvas in the living room. It wasn't just for aesthetics. It was a promise of endurance. That candle shaped like a spiral. It was a map of their spiritual evolution. That broken clock they never replaced. It was a warning. They were stuck in a loop, and time had stopped for their soul. You see, when a chosen one walks through their own home, they're not just walking through furniture and walls. They're walking through a divine blueprint, built by both intention and intuition. The spiritual realm loves to speak through imagery. And when someone is deeply connected to purpose, those messages start showing up everywhere. On pillowcases, on coffee mugs, in books they haven't read yet, but keep on the shelf for some reason. Even in the cracks of the wall, in the way the light hits a certain corner each morning, in the colors they're drawn to, again and again, red for warfare, blue for peace, gold for glory, black for hidden knowledge. And here's the secret. That will change how you see your own space. You don't choose these symbols randomly. Your soul calls them in. When you're in need of protection, the house starts to reflect it. When you're about to evolve, things begin to shift, rearrange. A certain image might fall off the wall. A trinket breaks out of nowhere. That's not an accident. That's an energetic upgrade. And sometimes, God removes something from your home because it's no longer compatible with your destiny. Chosen. Ones can walk into a store, be drawn to something they don't understand, bring it home, and only later realize it was a divine appointment. That stone, that artwork, that ancient symbol, they begin to research it and discover it holds the very message they needed to unlock the next level of their journey. Because in the life of a chosen one, the spiritual and the physical are always dancing together. Even architecture begins to carry meaning. The placement of doors, the way rooms flow into each other, the path from the front entrance to the bedroom, it all becomes part of a sacred map. Have you ever noticed that some rooms energize you, while others drain you? That's not just psychology, it's spiritual energy. And chosen ones begin to notice patterns. That one room where they always get downloads, that chair where they always feel safe, that mirror that seems to reflect more than just their image. Because when you carry divine purpose, your home starts to mirror the movements of heaven. The objects you surround yourself with aren't just tools. They're partners in your calling, each one carrying vibration, memory, intention. The pen on your desk might have written prophetic words. The robe on your door might carry the scent of intercession. The wind chime outside might have been the very thing that kept your spirit anchored during a storm. Nothing is meaningless when you're chosen. Nothing is just an object. Everything carries a frequency. And if you look closely, your home is speaking, through symbols, through signs, through moments that don't make sense, until they do. So now, ask yourself this. What messages are hiding in plain sight in your space? What item do you keep walking past that might hold a divine reminder? What words are staring at you from your own walls, waiting to be believed again? What truth is God trying to show you? Not in the clouds, but in the very room you're sitting in right now? Because some of the deepest revelations don't come through thunder or dreams. They come quietly, through symbols placed by your own hands, guided by a higher plan. And just when you think you've seen it all, another sign will appear. Another puzzle piece will click, and you'll realize you were never alone. You were never off track. Your spirit has been speaking through your surroundings this entire time. But what happens when that realization clicks into place? When you no longer see your home as just home, but as a sacred interface between this world and the next? In the next section, we'll unlock the final revelation. What happens when the house of the chosen isn't just filled with peace, tools, order, or signs, but begins to transform others just by existing? Because the home of a chosen one isn't only for them. It's a portal, a doorway, a light in the wilderness. And what flows from it can change everything. Have you ever looked around your room and suddenly realized it was reflecting you? Not just your taste, but your state, your soul. Because here's a truth most people will never understand. A chosen one doesn't live in a house. They manifest a sanctuary, and every corner, every item, every subtle shift in the atmosphere tells the ongoing story of their becoming. When you walk into their space, you're not just entering four walls. You're stepping into a mirror of their inner world. And if you look closely, you'll see everything. Their desire for growth, their scars, their progress, their sacred solitude, their silent conversations with the divine. There might be books on the shelf, worn, highlighted, underlined, books that cracked their mind open and poured in new light, books that whispered, "You're not crazy, you're awakening." There might be letters they've written to their future self, journals filled with tears, questions, and visions, papers that should have been thrown away, but were kept, because something about them felt eternal. There may be objects that seem out of place to others, but to the chosen one, they are relics, pieces of who they used to be and who they refused to stay. An old scarf from the night everything changed, a crystal they held while breaking a generational curse, a small gift from someone they forgave after years of silence. Nothing is random, not here, because a chosen one doesn't decorate. They build portals, portals to memory, to healing, to legacy. Some areas of the home may feel almost untouched, still, silent, heavy. These are the corners where they confronted their deepest shadows, where they wrestled with doubt, where they asked God, "Why me?" Other spaces radiate light, joy, celebration. A chair by the window where they receive divine revelation. A table that has heard prayers more than conversations. Even the imperfections of the house, the crack in the tile, the squeaky floorboard, the faded paint, they don't bother a chosen one because they know healing is messy, transformation leaves marks, and sacred things aren't always perfect, but they are true. Look at their walls. You may find artwork they created during their darkest hour, not to impress, but to express. You may see post-it notes with affirmations, names of people they pray for, verses that carried them through nights when sleep never came. And sometimes, you'll find something strange, a closed box, a covered altar, a photo turned face down. These are not mistakes. They are stories that are still unfolding, because even in their own sacred space, a chosen one knows. There are mysteries not yet ready to be revealed, even to themselves. But perhaps the most powerful sign of all is how their space feels. Not how it looks, not how it photographs, but the weight it carries, the way it embraces you with silence when you need it, or confronts you with truth when you're ready. There is frequency in every fabric. There is memory in every step. There is spirit in every shadow. Because a chosen one doesn't just build a house. They build a soulscape, a dimension where heaven meets earth, where trauma was transmuted into wisdom, where fear was broken by faith, where loneliness was transformed into divine intimacy. Even their bed isn't just for rest. It's where they battled anxiety, where they whispered thank you after victories no one ever saw, where their spirit left the body during dreams that were more real than waking life. Even their bathroom, yes, even there, carries energy. Tears cried in silence, rituals of cleansing, moments of release. Because when you are chosen, your life is a ministry. Your home becomes your first altar, a sacred headquarters for a mission few will ever understand, a silent witness to miracles, breakdowns, breakthroughs, and rebirths. And here's the secret that most never notice. A chosen one doesn't force transformation on their home. They live in such alignment with the divine that transformation emerges naturally, through every rearranged room, every object removed or added, every candle lit, every corner cleaned with tears and intention. It's not just a reflection of who they are. It's a forecast of who they're becoming. And if you ever feel lost, if you ever wonder where you are on your journey, look around. Not at your achievements, not at your followers, not at your social image. Look at your space. Is it speaking peace or confusion? Is it stuck in a version of you that no longer exists? Or is it becoming the temple that your new self needs? Because when your soul evolves, your home must evolve with it. And maybe that's why lately you've felt the urge to move furniture, to clean out closets, to throw out what no longer resonates, to bring in new light, new symbols, new textures. It's not just spring cleaning, it's spiritual syncing. Your inner world is shifting, and your outer world is responding. So pay attention, because when a chosen one truly surrenders to divine design, even the walls begin to whisper destiny. But what happens when that transformation becomes so strong that it doesn't just reflect you anymore, but begins to change everyone who enters? That's the final mystery we'll unlock. Because the house of a chosen one isn't just a reflection, it's a force, an atmosphere, a divine agent of awakening, and what flows from it might just alter the destiny of every soul it touches. So, what does your home say about your soul? Look around. This isn't just a space. This is sacred ground. This is the stage where your destiny unfolds. Quietly, daily, supernaturally. And if lately, you've been feeling the urge to shift, to cleanse, to realign, it's not random. It's prophetic. Something ancient is awakening in you. Something that was written long before this life began. A calling that refuses to stay silent. Because when the chosen are activated, their very atmosphere begins to change. The walls start carrying weight. The light hits different. The silence speaks louder. You are not just decorating, you are declaring. You are not just arranging furniture. You are arranging frequencies, and your soul knows it. Your space is becoming holy. Your home is becoming divine technology, a transmitter of purpose, a protector of vision, a portal to the next dimension of you. Let this sink in. Every object you choose to keep, every item you release, Every word you speak inside those walls is either building your throne or blocking your kingdom. So ask yourself now, with fire in your spirit, does your home reflect the old you or the rising one? Because the moment you align your space, your calling will accelerate, your clarity will sharpen, your spirit will command a new level of authority. And here's the wildest truth of all. When you're truly chosen, your home doesn't just reflect your light, it radiates it. It becomes a lighthouse for others, a healing chamber, a spiritual weapon, a womb for miracles. So don't you dare treat your space as ordinary, because you are not ordinary. You are an oracle, a vessel, a living altar. Let your home match that. Let it speak louder than your words. Let it prophesy who you are becoming. And if something inside you is burning right now, if your spirit is stirred and you feel it, comment this in all caps. My home is my altar. Declare it, seal it, proclaim it, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more divine downloads that align your life with your highest truth. Tap the bell, because destiny doesn't wait, and this journey has only just begun. Your space. Ig is speaking. Now it's your turn to answer. Go. Build the temple. Become the flame. Shake the earth with your presence, and never ever dim your light again.